All right, so I want to give all praise and honor to the Most High Yah. I want to thank Minister Milton Carnes for asking me to speak on today. To the lovely audience that's out there. Thank all of y'all for trekking through the storm to make it in the sunshine. Because as we was driving, I thought it was the end of the world. But we made it. Because the rain doesn't last always. Y'all know that? How many of y'all got storms in your life right now? You ain't got to say what it is. Just raise your hand. But all you got to do is observe the handiwork of Yah to know that he has an expected end for you. The rain is necessary. It may not seem that way when you're caught in it, but without the rain, nothing can grow. So if you don't accept and endure the situations that you're in right now, then how can you grow? Because the rain is there to seed the situation. And when the rain is done, the sun comes to ensure that it sprouts up and something new is growing. Some of y'all might not think that a fire in the forest is a good thing. And y'all watching California? See all those fires out there? It's a treacherous thing, right? But how many of you know that that's necessary for growth? How many of y'all are being put through the furnace right now? And the fire is getting heated up right now. The Most High said that you are a special treasure unto him. You are like fine gold. But guess what? When gold is dug out of the ground, it's rough. It's not shapen. It has impurities. So what does the metalsmith do? Or the blacksmith? He puts it into a furnace to turn the fire up. Somebody who has never seen metallurgy before, they look at that and say, man, what are you doing to that gold? It's precious. You're destroying it. He said, no, my friend, you don't understand. It's called a process. The end product is only the end result of the process. But until that thing is heated up, the impurities cannot escape from the gold. So when you heat it up, the impurities rise to the surface. Sometimes as you're going through it, people may see it on you, but not understand the story. Tell them, wait a second, you're only in chapter 5. It's a couple more chapters to go. The book ain't closed yet. Somebody need to hear this. It's not even part of the message. But then after he turns it up and the impurities come to the surface, he scrapes the impurities off. The person looking at said, damn, I think that's too much heat. It's time to take it out. He said, no. It's not done yet. Because after I take this gold out of this furnace and we got all the impurities out of it, I have to shine and polish it so I can see my reflection. Then I know it's done. God says you have to go through the situation because at the end of it, he is polishing you up to reflect him in front of everyone else. How can we tell others about the deity that we serve if we ourselves are not reflecting his character, his name, his purpose, his intention, his love and kindness, his mercy? Somebody needed that. All praise to the Most High. Let's get into this message. Can I talk to you for a moment today? People getting happy. I ain't got no slides up. I don't know what that's about. But it's all good. All right. But today I just want to speak to you. And I've done this a couple of times before. I just want to get a message to speak to your soul. You know, last week we talked about culture, right? And we talked about what biblical meditation is. And how some of y'all can implement this in order to help to advance your spiritual walk with Yah. Okay, Khan? But the message I was going to do last week, I'm going to have to do it this week. And this message I think is pertinent and is extremely important and it needs to be said. All right? Now I think this might sound like it's cutting out a little bit. That's why I stick with the wire. Yeah, I'm going to stick with this one. Okay. All right. Does anybody know what the lesson is on today? Anybody paying attention? Yes. Oh, so who said that? Say it loud. A cut above. That's interesting. A cut above. Okay. Does anybody want to read for me today? Because if not, I got the scriptures here I can read as well. Does anybody want to read? Oh, okay. So y'all, yeah, I can call on both of y'all. Anybody has a Bible they can lend to her? Nobody? Oh, I thought we was in. Trying to forget where we was at for a moment, and I'm like, hold on. All right. So, So this is called the cut above, and we're going to dive into it because I hope that this will help somebody. I'm not here today to be super deep. I'm not even here today to preach a message to you, right? Preach a sermon. I'm here to talk to your soul, your nefesh, the thing that makes you who you are. And this is extremely important because a lot of us miss the mark when it comes to this. All right, so let's start off with a very popular scripture that's overly used in our community. Y'all ready for that? All right, who has the word? You got it, sis? All right, so we're going to get to Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Let's get Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6.
Read!
For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh, thy Elohim. Yahweh, thy Elohim, hath chosen.
Has what?
Has chosen thee to be a special people.
To be what?
To be a special people.
A sometime people.
A special people.
A overlooked people.
To be a special people.
A downtrodden people.
To be a special people.
Keep going.
Unto himself.
Unto himself.
Unto himself.
Not the world, right? Keep going.
Above all people.
Above what?
Above all people.
Above. Are you serious, sis? Keep going.
That are upon the face of the earth.
That means no living creature. Above, right? No living creature. How does that make you feel? What does that scripture mean to you? How does that make you feel? Anybody, raise your hand. Tell me how that makes you feel. Y'all talking to your ancestors and their descendants. So how does that make y'all feel? Yeah, wait, hold on. How many of y'all heard this scripture before? All right, so I should be getting some feedback. Somebody says intimate, somebody says love. What else?
The best races ever.
The best races ever. Excellent. You playing right into this lesson. Keep going. Anybody else? Safe. Purposeful. What else? Proud. Oh, you're giving me some good words. Anything else? One more. A heritage. Interesting. Because some translations also say the word treasure is there, but we're going to get into it. So let me read it in Hebrew. And I want to point out a particular word there. All right, you ready? All right. Ki am kadosh atah Yahweh Eloheka beka bahar Yahweh Eloheka liot lo le'am segula mikol ha'amim asher al penei ha'adamah. So the word there is mikol. Mikol. Now it's interesting because in Hebrew, that word for all is actually a noun, right? It's kind of descriptive now. It's inclusive. In English, we know it as an adjective, right? All the people, right? All of the earth, etc. But that word there for above is mikol, and the root word there is kol. Meme is the preposition. So, the reason why I'm bringing this out, and I read it in Hebrew, I wanted to identify the word for above all. And then it says ha'amim, which means the people, right? Plural, masculine plural. Asher, that, al, on. And then you have the face of the earth, pene. When Moses says, do not put any mighty ones before my face. Of the earth, ha'adamah. King Khan? Okay. Now, I'm not going to get grammatical today. I just wanted to highlight a word. But the reason why I picked this out is because people use this a lot for proof texting. Does anybody know what proof texting is? Anybody? What is proof texting? It's a set a standard to evaluate other items. Anybody else? Proving your point. That's it? You said what? Back up your belief. All right. So just so you know, when I do lessons like this, I'm very interactive. So I hope you're ready. Lock that door because you're already in your seat. Nobody going nowhere. So let's get into proof texting. Proof texting is the practice of using isolated, out of context quotations from a document to establish a proposition in eisegesis. which is introducing one's own presuppositions, agendas, and biases. Another definition is proof texting is the method by which a person appeals to a biblical text to prove or justify a theological position without regard for the context of the passage they are citing. So I just indirectly called you proof texters. Like, yo, Divine, you calling me names? You gotta meet outside. Let's take it outside. Well, I'm not really saying that. The shoe fits. And the hit don't hollers, okay. But in this case, I'm saying that this is something that is overtly used in our community. People use this a lot in our community, right? You ever heard anybody in the community use this scripture a lot? Sometimes this is the first thing they use when they're telling somebody about their identity. It's euphoric. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel great. It makes you feel awesome. Let's keep it. And the reason why we have to take this into consideration, take our time with it, because this is why we need to read the text for context and not pretext. We need to read the text for context and not pretext. What's a pretext? The what?
Perceive ideas.
Anybody else? Okay, that's good. Preconceived notion. That's great. A pretext is a reason given in justification of a course of action that is not the real reason. So that means that we take a part of scripture, we read it, proof texting it, and then the pretext is, hey, I'm justifying why I am better than you. Why I'm greater than you. Now that's the pretext. The context is the parts of something written or spoken that immediately precede and follow a word or passage and clarify its meaning. That's why when you read it in the pretext, you're going to err. But when you read it within its context, you will be in alignment so that you can clarify what that message is. So, if I'm saying this to you right now, that means there must be something more there that we have overlooked. Because a lot of us can cite that scripture, but do we know the context? Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 7. I'll read it.
Deuteronomy.
I got you. I'll read it. I still got you. Saying the seat, I got you. Yahweh did not set his love on you, nor chose you because you were more in number than any of the peoples. For you were the fewest of all peoples. But because Yahweh had loved you, and kept the oath which he swore to his forefathers, Yah brought you out by a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yah El-Hekah, he is the power, the faithful power, who keeps his covenant and his loving kindness to 1,000 generations with those who love him. Wait. He only keeps it with those who what? Love him. See, you're preaching my message. We're going to get there. I got a little bit of surprises up in here. That's why I love speaking to y'all. It says, who love him and keep his commandments. How do you demonstrate obedience? By action, not by words. And people say, you can show me better than you can tell me. But repays those who hate him to their faces, not behind their back, to destroy them or consume them. He will not delay with whom he hates. He will repay him to his face. Therefore, you shall keep the commandment and the statutes and the judgments which I am commanding you today to do them. Hallelujah. So you read Deuteronomy 7 and 6 and think that there's something about you that's special. Uh-oh. Some people feeling some kind of way. You think you got it going on simply because this is your heritage. But this is conditional love. Oh, did I say that? Wait a second. This is conditional love. People say, oh yeah, I got power love. God loves me no matter what. This is not what he's saying here. He can hate you too. He said he didn't choose you because you was numerous. Because you was a great person. You did something wonderful, mighty, awesome. That's not why he chose your ancestors.
That's right.
He chose them because of obedience. That requires humility and sacrifice. How you going to be special? Oh, right, let me see how I'm going to say this. I don't set my toes. How you going to be special if you're not set apart?
All right, come on now.
If everybody else out there looks at you and you look like everybody else, how you set apart? How you Kodesh? How is this applying to you? Because if you don't keep his statute and commandments, he says those are the ones who hate him. And he's going to deal with you to your face. See, when you read the rest of that, it's humbling. So you know the reason why he chose you is because he first showed your ancestors out of obedience, and now he wants to choose you because he's giving you an obligation to keep his statute, laws, commandments, because that's part of the covenant. The covenant is intended to make you great and prosper. But if you don't fulfill the prerequisites before then, you might as well just blow a horn, sound a trumpet. So what does it mean to be a cut above? Anybody? What does it mean to be a cut above? Raise your hand. Somebody tell me what that means off the top of your head.
Different.
Different. Okay, what else?
Set apart. Holy.
Set apart, holy. Okay. Anybody else? Peculiar. What? Going above and beyond. Okay. Anybody else? Some. Okay. Gotcha. Now that's an idiom, right? That's a cultural expression. And then sometimes we add our connotations to the idiom because of what it means to us. But properly defined, a cut above means to be better than other people and other things. Another definition is noticeably superior towards. She said, all right. Okay. So we read this. We stop at verse 6 and say, oh man, I'm a cut above. Then you read the rest of it and you're like, well, hold on, wait a second. That means he can hate me too. So how did the Israelites understand this idiom within a colloquialism of their culture? How do you think they understood this thing here, what we just read? As far as the superiority thing. Think about it. If you was there during the Iron Age period of time when Dawid was on the scene, Shaul was on the scene, Shemuel was on the scene, and you was there during that time period, and then you hear from the Levitical priests preaching this to you, Deuteronomy chapter 7 and 6, that you are above all the peoples on the face of the earth, you're going to feel great. You're going to feel wonderful. And then what happens when you encounter somebody outside of that group? How would you identify them? How do you acknowledge them? Well, let me give you a great example. 1 Samuel 17:26. You can get that. And this is what this kind of mindset does if you tend to lose your way.
1 Samuel.
Chapter 17, verse 26. Mm-hmm.
Chapter 17, okay.
Verse 26.
26. And David said to the men who stood by,
Then Dawid spoke to the men who were standing by, saying,
what shall be done for the man who kills this Philistine
Uh-huh.
and takes away the reproach from Israel?
Okay, now read the next part slow.
For who is
Wait, hold on. So now he's addressing the situation, but now he's getting to the ethnicity part.
Yes.
Go ahead. Who is what? This what?
Uncircumcised.
Uncircumcised. Wait. Why do you have to point that out? Keep going.
That he should defy
That he should defy
the armies of the living Elohim.
the armies of our power.
Wow.
This uncircumcised Philistine. That is a derogatory term at this point in time. Calling somebody that. An uncircumcised Philistine? That means uncircumcision was the worst thing to them. You know why? Because it doesn't show evidence of the covenant. Because if there's strangers amongst us, According to Shemot chapter 12, what does it say? They want to engage in Pesach. They have to do what? They have to be circumcised. Them and their household. King Khan? So circumcision became the measuring stick of superiority, which means that today many Hebrew Israelites suffer from what is called a superiority complex. That's deep. Think about that. What is a superiority complex? So you're going to walk away learning a lot of stuff today. What is a superiority complex?
To be convinced in your mind that you are better than others.
Great. Anything else? Arrogance. What else? Pride. What? Haughtiness. Superiority complex, an attitude of superiority which conceals the actual feelings of inferiority and failure. Let me say that again. An attitude of superiority which conceals actual feelings of inferiority and failure. That's a lot. So think about this. Many Hebrew Israelites in our community try to overcompensate for their lack of power, authority, and control due to captivity by using their identity to belittle others. Let me say that again. Many Hebrew Israelites, and some of y'all may not like this message, it's okay. It's for somebody. Try to overcompensate for their lack of power, authority, and control due to captivity. And we know why that was the case. By using their identity to belittle others. In the case with Dawid, he was the overlooked son whose father esteemed his brothers over him, which surely would have made Dawid feel inferior to others. Are y'all understanding this? I'm trying to set this up for you. Let me say it again, because you read this message, like, oh, David's a warrior. Wait, hold on. Let's get the psychological and sociological situation intact first. Then we can deal with what's going on. In the case of Dawid, he was the overlooked son. How do we know that? What occurred in his life that you can look and say, man, they overlooked him? Samuel had to go and pick who? A future king. And he went to his son, which is his father, which is who? Jesse. And when he approached Jesse, he's like, all right, look, the Most High told me one of your sons going to be king. You know, Jesse's happy. Like, oh, word, that's great. We can stop doing this pastoralism thing. We could go live in a palace. That's great. Samuel said, all right, so pick one of your sons. I said, all right, one of my sons. Now, mind you, David wasn't even there. They sent him off doing their errands, the brothers' errands. They sunned him. You know, any of y'all from New York? He sunned him. Threw him right out there. Go play with the animals and just watch him until we done speaking adult business. So then he went down the row of all the sons. And Samuel said, you got any more? Think about that. You know, the Jesse's like, any more? David was an afterthought. So when you say he knows my name, people may overlook you, but Yah sees you. That's going to be for somebody. Somebody's going to get that. But think about this. Yet with that same feeling, he still believed that his physical circumcision and faith in Yah made him better than the Philistine giant. That's a lot. Because even though he may be feeling inferior here, the superiority complex, thinking about Deuteronomy chapter 7 and 6, because you got to teach your children this all the time, as they lay down, as they wake up, as they go to and fro, got to be on the doorpost, your mezuzah. So you're seeing all of this. We're great, we're awesome, we're wondrous. So then now he feels inferior, so now he gets into a situation where the superiority complex kicks in. So y'all missing that. And then he's going to see, well, who's this Philistine? Let me go over here to this and see what's going on over here. What's this? Oh, that dude's uncircumcised. Oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. Now he's feeling good. He's getting a little puffed up. That's interesting. It's interesting. Because y'all use that, right? We're going to get back to him. But we can also see a similar situation in Judges chapter 14, verses 1 to 4. And we see a situation where Samson, he goes and sees a woman from out of the who? What peoples? The Philistines. Now this precedes the David situation, right? He goes back to his parents and he tells his parents what? Get her for me. You know why? Because, you know, you had to arrange marriages and stuff like that. Like, that's cultural, right? Get up on me. And what the parents said. Wait, hold on. What did the parents say? No, they said something. What did they say? Wait, say it again. Can't you get somebody from your own people? Wow, that's deep. Now, she don't mean nothing. What you mean? What? Her people's uncircumcised. Get somebody from your own people. Did Samson listen? He didn't listen, but guess what? If you read verse 4, somebody read verse 4. It's interesting. And then we're going to move forward. Read verse 4.
Judges 14, chapter 4.
Yep.
But his father and his mother knew not that...
Wait, his parents didn't know what?
His father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord.
It was of Yah.
That he sought an occasion against the Philistines. For at that time, the Philistines had dominion over Israel.
There you go. You see that? So a lot of times we're in a situation, a predicament where people that's outside of our ethnic group, we feel that they are oppressing us. We feel that they're against us. And what we do is we lump them all into one, and then we say, look at these uncircumcised heathens. Look what they're doing to my community. Look what they're doing to my family. Look what they're doing to me economically, politically, socially, health-wise. Look what they're doing to me. Do you not see this, Yah? I'm great. I'm awesome. I'm your child. But yet you're allowing them to do this to me. Why is that? Who's to blame? Interesting. But before we get to the crux of this subject, let's see where it all began so we have a point of reference for its institution. Now remember, the key word we're saying is uncircumcised, right? So Bereshit chapter 12 verse 1 says, Now Yah said to Abram, go forth from your country and from your relatives and from your father's house to the land which I will show you, and I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you. You'll get Baruch, right? Or Baruch, which is your blessing, and make your name great, and so you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse the ones who curse you, and in your families all the earth will be blessed. So Abraham went forth as Yah had spoken to him. So first is it point of contact. He got the word. Most High told him, hey, blah, blah, blah. So, okay. So he went and did it. But the Most High said, yo, I want you to leave from out of your father's house and from your relatives. He went back with that Lot and said, all right, Lot, come with me. That's another message. I spoke on that before. You go back and check it out. Channel. So it says in Bereshit chapter 17, verse 9, which is Genesis, Elohim said further to Abraham, now his name changed at this point, now as for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you throughout their generations. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me, you and your descendants after you. Every male among you shall be what? And you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a what? Sign of the covenant between me and you. And every male among you who is 8 days old shall be circumcised throughout your generations. A servant who was born in the house or who was bought with money from any foreigner who was not of your descendants. A servant who was born in your house, or who is bought with your money shall surely be circumcised. Thus shall my covenant be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. But an uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person shall be cut off from his people because he has broken my covenant. Now that's a mouthful, but that's a message in there. So he told them, this is the sign between me, you, and your generations. Every male shall be circumcised, because every time they go to the bathroom, they're going to remember, oh, I'm an Israelite. Can't forget that. We use the bathroom every day. I'm being funny. But look, so then it says, but the servants on you, we want them circumcised too, because we want them also to pledge allegiance to the Most High Yah. Because if they have any other cultural paradigm or any other deities, they may cause you to compromise. So when they're circumcised, they will also remember the same thing. Okay, same one. But then it goes to say, but an uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person should be cut off from the people. He has broken my covenant. So think about it culturally. So now David knows the law. He knows the history of his people. And he knows that, okay, man, this Philistine, not only these people coming against us, they're uncircumcised. So they should be cut off from us. You shouldn't be dealing with those people. You got it?
Yeah.
As we can see, the circumcision was a token of the covenant that the Most High gave to Abraham. It was a token. Token is not the full amount, right? It's just something that reminds you or something that you can use. Okay. Abraham was promised with greatness if he obeyed, and he did. And as a result, his descendants are guaranteed the land of Canaan as a possession, longevity of life, and also resources. Came time? But how did he really obey? So the Most High said, if you keep my covenant, first he told him, hey, you want to go leave. All right, you're going to leave from out your family, your country, go into Canaan. Get circumcised, and it's going to be a sign between you and your generations. But do you think it stopped there? You think it was just the circumcision? I'm talking about Abraham now. So if you're saying no, what else was Abraham supposed to do on top of the circumcision? Oh, okay, but what specifically? Okay, he did that. He did all of that. And now after he covenanted with him, what else do you think was required? What did we just read earlier?
Was it a dress? Not the dress code.
No, we just read it earlier. All right, I'll give it to you. Bereshit chapter 26, verse 4. I'll let you read that.
Say that again.
Genesis chapter 26, verse 4.
26.
Verse 4.
Okay. Okay, Genesis chapter 26 and verse 4. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven.
Okay, now just so you know, this is the Most High speaking to Isaac, right? Keep going.
And will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed.
Now slow down. Read 5 slow.
Because that Abraham.
Because Abraham
obeyed my voice.
Obeyed my voice and
kept my charge.
Wait. He obeyed my voice. He did what I told him to do. But what else did he do?
Kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws.
Wait, slow down. You telling me this is before the Levites came on the scene? Wait a second. Hold on. Are you saying that when people make reference to Abraham, say, oh, Abraham, all he did was have faith and all he did was obey? They say that a lot. And then I get Genesis chapter 26. And I go to verse 5. Oh, yeah, he obeyed all right. But then he also kept the statute, laws, and commandments of the Most High God. I just gave somebody an apologetic tip there. Because people are going to bring that up a lot. Oh, but Abraham was before Moshe. But he also kept the statute, laws, and commandments. How you get around this? That is interesting. And as you look at the life of Abraham, when he was called, then he had a situation where he had to go rescue Lot. And then he encountered Melchizedek, who was the high priest of El. And then after he met Melchizedek, then other things started to occur. He had to get circumcised. He had to do all this other stuff after he met the high priest. So somebody taught him something.
Yes.
But that's another message. I taught on that a long time ago. You go check that out. So we see an interesting theme here. Covenant, circumcision, conquest, control. Covenant, circumcision, then conquest and control. A lot of us here are trying to control some situations in our life. Trying to conquer some things. Trying to get some goals and assignments accomplished personally in our walk. But sometimes we forget the covenant and the circumcision. We're going to get into what does that mean. There's always prerequisites before you can accomplish a task. But before we get there, because I know you're hanging off the edge of your seat, let's define this term, circumcised or circumcision. The Hebrew word there is mol, which means to cut off. And today it's called brit milah. Y'all know what a brit milah is? Some of y'all may have had it done if you had sons, or maybe it happened on y'all. But a brit milah is what? Berit means what? Berit means what? When we say berit, chadashah, berit means what? Covenant. And milah comes from mul, which means what? Say again? Somebody just said it.
Circumcision.
They're circumcision or circumcised, right? So it means to cut off, to circumcise, especially with the accusative of a person, such as Genesis chapter 21, verse 4, which we touched on. Then you got Exodus 12:44, Joshua 5:4 and 7, and of the foreskin, Genesis chapter 17, verse 23, which we read earlier. So it means to cut off. It's interesting because we're going to see Moshe use a similar word when he was talking to the Most High about going out and speaking to the people. I don't know if I want to get there yet. But if you keep going on, it also can mean to remove impure things from your mind, to circumcise, properly to purge, because the foreskin was regarded as unclean and profane. Think about that. It was unclean and profane. They had to get it off the children at the age of 8th day of life, because this is their viewpoint. But then I said something very, very interesting there. Did y'all get it? To remove impure things, to purge. Interesting. Okay. Make sure you follow me. So circumcision is the surgical removal of the foreskin, the tissue covering the head, or it's called the glands, of the penis. Don't want to say it too loud. Don't offend nobody. It is an ancient practice that has its origin in religious rites. Today, many parents have their sons circumcised for religious or other reasons, the text says. This is an option you can do at the hospital. Okay, and Khan? All right. And nobody, don't y'all be asking me if I'm circumcised or not. No, I'm just playing. I am circumcised, and I wasn't a baby, but that's neither here nor there. Are there any scientific benefits for circumcision? Okay, let's look. This is from WebMD.com. A decreased risk of urinary tract infections, a reduced risk of some sexually transmitted diseases in men, protection against penile cancer and a reduced risk of cervical cancer and female sex partners, prevention of balanitis, which is inflammation of the glands, and balanoposthitis, which is inflammation of the glands and foreskin. Prevention of phimosis, the inability to retract the foreskin, and paraphimosis, the inability to return the foreskin to its original location. Circumcision also makes it easier, listen to this, to keep the clean. It's the reason why I'm bringing this out. Remember we read the definition, and it says that the foreskin was what? It was unclean and profane. So medically it's saying that, yeah, if you do cut off the foreskin, now there's more hygienical benefits. You can be more clean. That's interesting to see how those two things go together. But another interesting note on circumcision before moving forward is the cross-cultural analysis of the Igbo. You're going to say, why are you bringing the Igbo? What do they have to do with this message? An article entitled Parental Circumcision Preferences, an Early Outcome of Plastic Belt Circumcision in a Nigerian Tertiary Hospital, and this was done by the Department of Surgery and Pediatric Surgery Unit and the University Teaching Hospital in Nnewi, Anambra State, Nigeria. If you know what Anambra State is, it's in southeast Nigeria, right? Kane Khan? What people group are in southeast Nigeria? The Igbo, right? It goes on to say most male circumcisions are carried out during the newborn periods and infancy. This underscores the role of parents and caregivers in the decision and choices regarding circumcision of their boys who are minors. The prevalence of male circumcision in eastern Nigeria likely exceeds the World Health Organization's reported figure of 90%. For Nigeria, majority of those are carried out for cultural and religious reasons. Let's keep going. On the preferred age for circumcision, this is 73.9%, of the parents would prefer circumcisions to be carried out on their boys on the 8th day of life. That's interesting. The 8th day? Now, circumcision is nothing unique, but when you do it, that's pretty unique. Okay, John? I'm going to let y'all make the connections there. But if you're not familiar with my lectures, go back and check it out, Kingdom Harvard Ministries, and you'll see what we're getting at. But this is from a medical journal that's submitted in a quarterly, in a scientific quarterly. And what they're telling you is that most of the reasons why they get circumcised, they say it's for cultural and religious reasons, and specifically they request about 75% of them to be done on the 8th day. The rest of them, it would be other ages because they may have missed the opportunity to do it on the 8th day. So they figured it has to be done at some point. And if you know anybody who's Igbo, that's something that's very important to them, circumcision. So we're seeing that the covenant was the 8th day to circumcise, and now we see people still doing it. And then now we know that about maybe 70% of African Americans have this in their blood DNA. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. Interesting to say the least, but we'll move on. The law of circumcision is re-emphasized in the Levitical law. Leviticus chapter 12, verse 3 says, on the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised or cut off. Moses is also reminded of the importance of circumcision when a very random incident happens before he is commissioned to redeem the Israelites from Egypt. Are y'all aware of that? Y'all are? Shemot chapter 4, verse 24. Now at a lodging place along the way, Yah confronted Moshe and was about to kill him. Wait a second, hold on. You telling me the same deity just had a conversation with him, chapter before, and the chapter of earlier, talking about, I'm going to use you to go and talk to the children of Israel. Moses said, but I can't do it because what? What excuse did he use? He said he can't speak well. You know what he's saying? He's saying my lips are uncircumcised. Wait, let me rewind. Go back and look at the word that he used there. He says, my lips are uncircumcised. What is he saying? That means my mouth, the things that I say, is unclean and profane. How could you use me to go and speak this set-apart word to your people? Are you following? Look it up if you don't believe me. Somebody look it up. Just to double-check everything that I'm saying right now. Somebody grab it real quick and tell me what that Hebrew word there is. We're going to get into it.
Leviticus.
Exodus chapter 4, verse 24. Well, I'm sorry. That's not the one we say my lips are uncircumcised. I think that's Shemot chapter 3. Somebody can pull it up and get it if you don't mind. While I read this, and when you get it, let me know. Because I want you to go back and see he's saying my lips are uncircumcised. It says this. So the Most High wanted to kill Moshe after he gave him words. I'm going to use you to go and redeem the children of Israel. But now he wants to kill Moses. Wait a second. Let's rewind back. Why would he want to kill Moses after he just selected him to go do something great? He said, I'm going to make you to be as a god unto Pharaoh. That's deep. Because if y'all know during the ancient times who Pharaoh was, he was the man. He was the man. And you telling me I'm going to be a power to him? But now, verse 24, he's about to kill him. But Zipporah, not Zipporah back there, but Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, touched Moshe's feet with it. Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me, she said. So Yah let him alone. When she said bridegroom of blood, she was referring to the what? Circumcision. Now that is really deep because this is something that has been argued for a long time on what does this mean and why was this randomly added to the text. Now, fortunately for y'all, I'm cutting down my time, so I'm not going to get deep into it. But ultimately what I would say was if it was not for his son being circumcised, the Most High would have killed Moses. Is that serious? Is that serious? How can you go and represent me if your household ain't in order? Now I'm going to keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. That's for somebody, right? He needed to be prepared fully, him and his household, before undertaking this great task. He has to be consistent, right? And it seems as even though the Israelites were circumcised, right? They went back to Israel, they were circumcised, as if most of them were unable to be obedient to the covenant. Could have been pride, arrogance, familiarity with that which was past. Because remember, when they was out in the wilderness wandering, Moshe went to Sinai, and he was gone for a while. And then what did they end up doing? So he just redeemed them out of Mizraim. They saw the plagues and the signs. Now they're in the wilderness. Moses is gone, right? Because they don't want to approach the Most High. They tell Moses, yo, Moses, he's going to kill us. You go do it. And sometimes we do that. Sometimes we heavily rely on other people who have a relationship with Yah in order to nullify us from getting close to Yah because we're afraid. Because of some things that we're doing and the way that we are, that we feel that Yah won't accept us. How do you think that person you're going to first got into right connection with Yah? It's a process. And you cannot be afraid of the process. That's what makes you great. enduring the process. People run away from the process. No, the process has to make you. But you know what happens? Sometimes the process can be so hard, people choose not to love you through the process because it looks ugly. If you really want to know somebody cares about you, let them sit with you while you're going through the process and not when you get the prize. All right, that's for somebody. Somebody take that. But I'll leave it to you to determine what was going on in their mindset. But nevertheless, there's a lesson to be learned from this practice that we can apply in a spiritual matter so that we do not fall victim like our forefathers in the wilderness and continue to perpetuate a generational curse on our descendants. Because if we're not in right standing with Yah, then the same things that we encounter because we don't have that fence around us. My brother Yosef, you there? What does tabernacle mean? Tabernacle? Yes.
I don't know.
What? That's my scholar right there. I'm going to let y'all look it up. But it has to do with how the halakha is established. So rabbis have set things up called a fence around the people, or in regards to what they're prescribing for the people to do. So that way, within that fence is Torah. Outside of that fence is danger. So we're going to give you some decrees to follow, which is the fence to protect you from coming outside the scope of Torah. And these are things that they add for the safety, protection, and oversight of the people. Can Khan? So we ourselves have to acknowledge that just because you are circumcised does not mean that Yah cannot destroy you. Some people think because I'm an Israelite, I'm going to make it. I'm good. And this is all they preach to people. Until you see some things start happening to them. And they don't know why. So our example, so we can understand how to spiritually apply it, I'm going to give you a physical example. And we're going to see how do we apply that today. Because this stuff don't mean nothing if I can't walk it out. Okay, Khan? So our example comes slightly after the death of Moshe. Did anybody get the uncircumcised lips scripture for me? See, y'all just so enamored by my words. Y'all are not even looking anything up. So we trust you, Divine. Nah, double check me. All right? Somebody please find that for me. The uncircumcised, he said, when the Most High approached him and told him to go do, I want you to go and be my mouthpiece. He says, well, I can't because my lips are uncircumcised. It's going to be in Exodus 3 or Exodus 4.
Okay, Exodus 4, verse 10.
It is? All right, read it. What does it say?
It says, and Moses said unto Yah, O Yah, I am not eloquent, neither pure, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant. But I am slow of speech and slow tongue.
All right, so somebody look that up and let me know if you see the word there for uncircumcised. But as you're looking for that.
Uncircumcised lips?
Yes.
Okay, that would be Parashat. Okay, 30. And Moses said before the Lord.
What?
Behold. I am of uncircumcised lips.
I'm of what?
Uncircumcised lips.
Now, he's not obviously not talking literally, correct? But his lips are uncircumcised. Go ahead.
And how will Pharaoh listen to me?
Wait. So how can you use me if I'm an unclean and profane person? And the things that I say, some of the things that I do, how are you going to use me? Keep reading.
All right.
Keep reading.
Okay.
He said uncircumcised lips and something about going to Pharaoh.
Yeah, okay, so behold, I am of uncircumcised lips, and how will Pharaoh listen to me?
Keep going. What verse was that?
12.
Verse 12? So somebody read the next verse.
Then Yah spoke to
Moses. Go ahead. And Aaron. Go ahead.
And gave them a command for the children of Israel and for Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring the children of Israel out of the land.
Most are saying, I don't care what excuses you bring forth, because I'm going to cleanse you through this process. And if you keep making excuses, I'm going to buddy you up with somebody that's going to watch over you while you do it. We try to come to Yah with all types of excuses not to walk in our purpose, because we're afraid of the undertaking of the task. But he's saying, okay, I don't care. If that's your condition, guess what? You're a rough stone. I'm going to make you into a smooth stone. But I got to put you through the process. You have to obey. That's where it starts. Okay, Khan? So let's take a look at this example. We're going to get into this. This is deep, very deep example right here. This comes from Yehoshua, or Joshua chapter 5, verse 1. All right, I'm going to wait for y'all to get that, and I'm going to read through it. Cain, Khan?
Excuse me.
Yes.
I want to ask her what she was reading from or what.
Yeah.
What Bible she's reading from?
What Bible basically.
Sis, what Bible translation was you using?
This was actually, it says Jewish Waterville. It just says Parashat Va'era. Parashat Va'era.
We can look it up afterwards. I will find out. I'll look at the application. Yeah. Okay. All right, y'all got Yahushua chapter 5, verse 1? Cain, Khan? Don't fall asleep yet. You're almost to the promised land. All right, so now it came about when all the kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan to the west, and all the kings of the Amorites who were by the sea, heard how Yah had dried up the waters of the Jordan before the sons of Israel until they had crossed, that their hearts melted, and there was no spirit. Wow, that's deep. There was no spirit in them any longer because of the sons of Israel. How many times are you around people who are secular and this is how they feel about your power? If they don't feel this way, then how are you really walking it out? They should be in awe. That's for somebody. At that time, Yah said to Yehoshua, because mind you, the Most High dealt with them for 40 years. They all geared up. They about to go fight these people who are afraid now. Now, there's an advantage of a fight if somebody's afraid. Because you got the advantage, right? You got the upper hand. They're afraid. And they're like, yeah, we about to go in. And we about to take over this land. We about to get this milk and this honey. We about to get everything. Or everything, right? We about to be straight. But they forgot. See, sometimes you got to remind the next generation of the things that happened before them. So they don't fall for the same traps, same issues, same problems. But look what the Most High said to them. They geared up. They were ready to go fight. But watch this. At that time, Yah said to Joshua, make for yourself flint knives and circumcise again the sons of Israel the second time. Wait, what? A double cut? No. So Joshua made himself flint knives and circumcised the sons of Israel the second time. Oh, I'm sorry. So Yehoshua made for himself flint knives and circumcised the sons of Israel at Gibeath Ha'araloth. This is the reason why Yehoshua circumcised them. So now the text is explaining it for you, because you're probably like, what the heck is going on? All the people who came out of Mizraim, who were males, all the men of war, died in the wilderness along the way after they came out of Mizraim. For all the people who came out were circumcised, but all the people who were born in the wilderness along the way as they came out of Mizraim had not been circumcised. That's deep. So the parents were circumcised and they all died. Let me say it again. The parents were circumcised and they all died. And guess what? Even during that process, they didn't even circumcise their sons. Now you wonder why they wanted all the time, because Moses said, I'm going to wait to see when they're going to circumcise these sons. That's the prerequisite before anything else. They wasn't even doing that. So before they can even go and fight, because they were going to lose if this didn't happen. That's a message for somebody. Be getting there. So now it says, for all the people who came out who were circumcised, but all the people born in the wilderness were not. For the sons of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness until all the nation, that is, the men of war who came out of Mizraim, perished because they did not listen to the voice of Yah, to whom Yah had sworn that he would not let them see the land which Yah had sworn to the fathers to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Their children, whom were raised up in their place, Yehoshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised because they had not circumcised them along the way. And you wondering why they're getting beat up and going through all types of stuff, because they didn't do one simple precept. That command was just circumcise your sons. And then I can prepare you for war, prepare you to win. Sometimes the Most High gives us small tasks and we just overlook it. Very small. We just overlook it. It's not even a big deal. Something bigger at hand. The big pictures and the small details. That's for somebody. Their children, when they raised up, he circumcised. Now, when they had finished circumcising all the nation. Imagine that. They remained in their places in the camp until they were healed. That's a message for somebody. We're about to get into this. Then Yah said to Yehoshua, today I have rolled away the reproach of Mizraim from you. Wait, so they had a reproach on them this whole time? You see how deep it was? If the Most High was willing to kill Moses over circumcision, how much greater will he punish the children of Israel? Actually, he did, because the parents ain't do it. They all died. Okay, God? See, it's these little details that we tend to overlook. How many of y'all paid attention to that before today? Wait, none of y'all pay attention? So this is good then. It's good. So we getting somewhere. So the Most High said, now that I removed it, now we're going to call the name of that place Gilgal to this day. What does Gilgal mean? Rolling or circling. A circle. A lot of times after an event took place, they would erect the stone, they would anoint the stone, and they would give it a name. So that way they have a point of reference. When they ever come back, they'll be reminded of what took place. Okay, and Khan? So when the foreskin is cut, it's cut in what kind of fashion? That's deep. Let me say it again. When circumcision occurs, what is the process in which the flip knife cuts it? You have to cut a circular motion to get the entire foreskin off, right? So now the Most High says they're going to call this place Gilgal to remember that because of the circling, and that can mean because y'all went all around for 40 years and now I got you here. And that could also mean the circumcision, because that's what took place. And I'm sure all those men, grown men that are about to fight, they got to get cut. They got to heal, and then they got to prepare for war after that. That's a lot. That's extremely traumatic. I'm glad I didn't have to go through that. That's a lot. If I had to, I had to. I'm just saying. So now we understand what the purpose of that was. But here's the thing. What was the great feat that was at hand? What was they about to get ready to do? How many of y'all know the story? Wait, somebody said it. Jericho's wall. Hopefully somebody's following the message. So then on the 7th day, verse 15, they rose up early at the dawning of the day and marched around the city. In the same manner 7 times, only on that day they marched around the city 7 times. At the 7th time, when the priest blew the trumpets, Yehoshua said to the people, what? Get your weapons. Get your arrows. Turn your plows into swords. What did he say? Shout. For Yah has given you the city. Wait, Danny, we ain't even get in yet. What are you talking about? He gave it to me in advance. The city shall be under the ban, and it and all that is in it that belongs to Yah. Only Rahab the harlot and all who are with her house shall live, because she hid the messengers who he sent. But as for you, only keep yourselves from the things under the ban. And when you understand what the ban is, certain things they cannot take, spoils of war. You remember what happens after, like near the end of this chapter, right? Somebody decides they're going to do their own thing and mess everybody up. After he didn't took the reproach off of them, somebody brought it back onto them. You got to watch who's in your circle. There might be some squares in your circle. Keep going. But as for you, only keep saying, and make the camp of Israel a curse and bring trouble to it if you touch the things that's in the ban. But all the silver, the gold, the articles of bronze, the iron are set apart for Yah. They shall go into the treasury of Yah. So people shouted, the priests blew their trumpets, and when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with a great shout, and the wall fell down flat. So the people went up into the city, every man straight ahead, and they took the city. How does this have anything to do with us today? What is you talking about, Divine? What are you talking about? How many of you are facing some real serious situation in your life right now? Raise your hand. So I'm a lot of y'all. Y'all see people, you see a situation like, man, I don't know how this is going to work out. I have no clue how this is going to work out. So now you have to be reminded whose you are. Not just who you are. Whose you are. It's deep. You got to take a token of the covenant of whose you are, the greatness. Oh, remember I told you about the reserve tank. Go into that reserve tank that was left behind by your ancestors, which is the text, and you're going to dig from that well when a situation happens, because you got to obey the same way that they had to obey. And then you have to do something that's going to hurt. It's going to require humility. It's going to require sacrifice. Follow me. So you see the enemy. You see what Yah's promising you. It's going to be yours. But you got to go through a process first before you can get there. A lot of times we want to rush and just go and conquer and take things. And most of us said, no, there's levels to this. And y'all not seeing what these levels are. So first he has to humble you. Because you're going to think once you get it, it's yours. And once you humble, it's going to take some time to heal. Listen, so this is for somebody. So you got to look at the process. This was written for us to learn. There's something there for us today. So now the metaphor, when you're in your most strongest state, you thinking, I got this, I could take it. Mosiah said, no, that's not for you yet. Let me put you to this process of humility and work on you. Take some things out of you. It's going to hurt, but you're going to heal. And when you heal, you're going to be stronger than you was before. And then once you heal, Mosiah says, now I want you to do something as a reminder of what just took place. Sometimes people write things in journals and notes. Some people have good memory. So you don't remember that process because it may be repeated again. King Khan? And after a designated period of time, the Most High says, now because you went through the process, you don't even got to fight. Somebody missed that. You got giants and other things in your life right now. You thinking because you're Yah's, I can take it. But Yah says, that's not how you get to know me. Humble yourselves before me. And when you humble yourself, let me work on you. Take the things out of you. That's going to mess you up by the time you get there. Because when you get there, and I don't do this, people going to think it was you. When people see that you've been humbled, that Yah has worked on you, and that you have reminders set about everywhere that Yah put me through this process, now when it comes time to fight, you ain't got to shoot a single arrow. I've already given it to you. Wow. Covenant, circumcision, conquest. Covenant, circumcision, conquest. So how do we accomplish this in our lives today? So is it not enough just to be circumcised, y'all? You saying I had to go through a process? What is that process? I think that's the most important thing. King Khan? There are some overlooked details in the Tanakh that gives us the answer on how to be in a better position than our ancestors to enact the blessings of Yah. Because a lot of y'all just like Deuteronomy 28:15 to 68. Y'all love that. Y'all just relish in that. I try to stay away from that. Because if I'm obeying, why that's still happening to me? Somebody missed that. What's the benefit of keeping Torah then if I got to keep enduring this? So you can say, okay, it can happen collectively, but individually, there are things that we can do when you obey Yah. And I think you said that, last week, Abiyah? Before you did your praise and worship? We talked about that, right? Okay. But there's a small detail that's missed by the majority of the children of Israel, resulting in us being our condition today. There's a small detail that the Most High threw in there. So let me see if they're going to find this. It's a treasure hunt. That's the most important thing, that if they do this, I got them. But let me see if they're going to find it. How many of y'all know where I'm going? Nah. Remember, the message is a cut above. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. Let's go into that. We're going to understand that before you can get what you're looking for, what you're trying to go after, there's a process. So he gives them this hint, this detail in Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. What does he say? Now, Israel, what does Yah your Elohim require from you? But to reverence him, to walk in all his ways, not some, not part-time, and love him, and to serve Yah Elohim, your power, with what? All your heart. That's the first thing. All your soul, and to keep his commandments and his statutes, which I am commanding you today for your good. Now, there's a lot of people that read the New Testament today, and they'll see something that Yeshua says and think it started there. They think, oh man, this is a great thing. He just brought, wait, he didn't bring nothing forth on his own. He has to be checked by this. I hurt somebody's feelings out there. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping it a buck with you. He has to say Thus saith Yah. Speak the oracles of Yah. Can Khan? Otherwise, his words is no good. Somebody's like, oh, how you talking about him like that? I'm keeping it real. But he did, right? He says this, and to keep his commandments, his statutes, which I'm commanding you today for good. Some people think, man, I got to do this stuff. Because there are certain processes that are put in place to protect you from danger. I don't hear nobody complaining about signs in the street telling you wait to walk. I should just be able to walk. Why you got to put this light up there, the stop light or stop sign? I'm just going to go. What's going to happen if you do that? Danger. And this is something you teach children when they're young. It's not here to constrain you or hold you down. It's here to put you in sync with the environmental processes that's in your community. Think about that. There's dangers that we're not even aware of that Yah wants to protect you from. But if you're not staying within that comfort zone, I can't deal with you. So once you step out of that, hey, you're on your own. Yes. The scripture says specifically, this is to give you longevity of what? If you keep walking across that street and don't have no regard for the signs, you ain't going to have longevity of life. I'm just saying. Especially a busy interstate, you're not going to last long. Think about it like that. Put you back in sync with the environment that is designed to help you if you help it. You got to stay in sync with it. But he says here, behold, to Yah your power belong what? The heaven and the highest heavens and the earth and all that's in it. You're like, oh man, this is great. So I'm going to love the Most High with all my heart, with all my soul, because he owns everything. Yet on your fathers did Yah set his affections to love them, and he chose their descendants after them, even you, again, above what? All people. You love saying that, right? As it is this day. And people stop there. I said, wait a second. Get the next verse. Somebody read the next verse. Circumcised. Wait a second. What? Circumcised what? I thought I was already circumcised. Whoa, wait, circumcised. I got to circumcise something else? Wait, say it again. Somebody said that. Now, you know, I heard somebody tell me when we was having a discussion, they said, oh yeah, you know, circumcising your heart, yeah, that comes from Paul's letters. I'm like, whoa, wait, slow down. What? It started in Paul's letters. That's how I know they're not reading this. There's a problem. Paul was following something. Scripture said he was a Pharisee, so he knew the law. So he ain't saying nothing just, no, the law says what? Read verse 16 again. Circumcise your heart, because if you don't circumcise it, your neck will be stiff. And that's something deep. We're going to get into it. If y'all know what teshuvah is, you're going to know what we're talking about. Why is he always saying you have a stiff neck? Anybody ever had a stiff neck? When I was young, one time I was sleeping, I think I was like 12 or something like that, and the window was open, and I woke up, I could not turn my neck for nothing. That was like the most frightening thing. Anybody had that happen to them before? Man, I was just stuck like this. Can't turn left, can't turn right. It's like, yo, that is the worst pain. But think about that. The people are stiff-necked. And when you're stiff-necked, you can't do what? Wait, don't preach my message yet. Think about that every time you hear stiff-necked. Okay, and that would also be for the animals. When they call an animal stiff-necked, the animal is stubborn. You try to get it to do something, it just won't cave in. You got to fight with it. So Yah is saying to the people, don't be stiff-necked like these animals. You getting mad at the animal, think about how I'm getting mad at you. That's for somebody. Deuteronomy 30:6 says, moreover, Yah, your power will what? Circumcise. So now look, he's telling you to do a circumcision. And then he said, then he will perform a circumcision. Wait a second. That's 3 circumcisions. The physical one, my own personal one, and then now he's going to do it on top of that. How many of y'all have been circumcised 3 times? The males. Raise your hand. Look, nobody's raising their hand. Maybe because nobody taught us how to be circumcised 3 times. This is deep. Wait, let's rewind back. You got to be circumcised 3 times in order for you to even be able to love Yah with all your heart and all your soul. Wow. Ain't nobody teach me this before. Let's keep going. It says, Yah, then he will circumcise your heart and the heart of your descendants to love him. So physical circumcision is not going to get you to love Yah. That don't mean you love him. Wait, let me go back. Physical circumcision does not mean you love Yah. Being an Israelite does not mean you love Yah. Being an Israelite doesn't even mean you know Yah. Wow, this is deep. This is deep. And the reason why he said this is because if you do it to love Yah with all your heart and your soul, that the prerequisite is the spiritual circumcision, so that you may live. Some of us cannot live the life that was intended for us because we have not had our heart circumcised. Either we didn't do it ourselves and we didn't allow Yah to do it. Then Yah, your power will what? Inflict these curses on your enemies and on those who hate you, who persecuted you. But first, your heart has to be circumcised. You wonder why your enemies are getting the victory right now and you losing the game. You not circumcising your heart. But then you're going to say, well, Divine, how you do that? I got you. I ain't going to leave you hanging. I got you. Work with me here. And you shall again obey Yah and observe all his commandments, which I command you today. Then Yah, your power, will what? Prosper. Wait, say it again. Then he will prosper you abundantly in all the work of your hand, and the offspring of your body, and in the offspring of your cattle, and in the produce of the ground. For Yah will again rejoice over you. Wait a second. Yah can rejoice over us? Wait, I thought I could just be an Israelite. I identify I'm an Israelite. I'm going to keep the statutes, laws, and commandments. And Yah going to love me. That's not what it says here. He's going to rejoice over you for good if you keep the prerequisites. Just as you rejoice over your fathers, if you obey Yah, your power to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in the book of the law, if you turn to Yah, your power with all your heart and all your soul. Unfortunately, the majority of Israelites failed this command, therefore their success and the promised land was limited. A lot of us today fail this, and our success and what's promised for us is limited, hindered, or blocked. Because we're thinking we got everything right, but we're missing those 3 cuts. The foreskin represents the sin that prevents us from allowing the vulnerable and hidden parts from coming forth and experiencing greater intimacy with Yah. Let me say that again. Deep. The foreskin represents the sin, the one that's over your heart, that prevents you from allowing the vulnerable and hidden parts from coming forth and experiencing a greater intimacy with Yah. Because that sheath is blocking you from getting deeply intimate with Yah. Because when it's removed, you are now cleansed and you can enter into the deepest presence and sanctuary of Yah. Somebody's going to get this. It's for somebody. What was that person clapping? It's for you. In order to remove this barrier that supersedes our physical token with Yah, we are instructed to do, we are instructed what to do from the text. Now, before I go on, somebody tell me, how do you circumcise your heart? Raise your hand. Somebody say it. Throw it out. That's one. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody else?
Commandments.
He said meditate. Okay. He said what? About the commandments? Somebody said something about follow commandments. We're going to give it to you. It's really not deep, right? It's something that even a child can do, right? And this is what you teach your child. You're raising them. Vayikra chapter 26 verse 40, which is Leviticus chapter 26 verse 40. If they what? Confess their iniquity, and not just your own, the iniquity of their forefathers, because sometimes you're just confessing your own, but you're not saying what your parents was doing and what they did and what they did. Y'all not even touching them. Y'all doing a half-bleed job. Okay. Which they committed against me. And also in their acting with hostility against me. I also was acting with hostility against you. Sometimes some people all blame it on the devil. No, that's Yah working against you. He says, if I hate you, I'm going to do it to your face. You want to blame everything on the devil. How many of you know people that blame things on the devil for everything? I can't find my keys. Damn, devil took my keys. The devil took your keys? What are you going to do? Get in your car and drive something? They blame everything on the devil. I'm like, man, this guy, that's the man. He can do anything he wants. Let's keep going. So sometimes you're getting mad at the devil, and it's Yah that's dealing with you. Because Yah can also be your adversary. Somebody missed that. That we've understood that. Did y'all know that? Yes. Did you know that Yah was his adversary? Yes. Wow, that's scary. I ain't worried about the devil if Yah's going to be my enemy. Facts. But he's giving you a way out. To bring them into their land, their enemies, and if their uncircumcised hearts becomes humbled so that they then make amends. Wait, so we're given a process. Confess it for you. Confess it for your forefathers, your family members, people around you. Your hostility that you was acting against Yah, you have to admit that or acknowledge that. And then your uncircumcised heart has to be humbled so that they can make amends. You got to make it right with Yah or anybody else. Keep thinking. For their iniquity, then I will remember them. Because if you don't do this, he's forgotten you. Wait a second. Wait. I heard a song that says that he knows me, he hasn't forgotten me. But wait, he said he gonna remember you. That means he must have forgot you. Obviously not forgetting in the sense where he doesn't know, but meaning that, hey, I'm acting hostile against you, so we can't be friends. I can't be your father. You being disrespectful. You on your own. But if you obey and you circumcise your heart, then he's going to remember you. Sometimes you may feel that, where's Yah when I'm going through this situation? Why is he not here to help me? And then you realize, oh, I'm doing something wrong. So you go and do what you were trained to do. And then after you pass that test from remembering what you're supposed to do, now the teacher shows up. Somebody missed that. Teacher is not present while you're taking the test. Y'all missed that. He's going to check your results after the test is over. But during the process, he's quiet. Okay. Hopefully somebody going to get that. Then I remember the covenant I made with Yaakov, and I remember my covenant with Isaac or Isaac, and my covenant with Abraham as well, and I will remember the land. So once you do what you're supposed to do, everything you are around you, everything your feet touch, everything you set your eyes on, Yah says he's going to remember it, and now we can get that victory. We can get it. For the land will be abandoned by them, and will make up Sabbaths while it's made desolate without them. That means if you're not doing this, Yah's going to remove you. And you're going to keep wondering why you ain't getting what you're supposed to get. Okay? Because you're not following. You're not being obedient. They, meanwhile, will be making amends for their iniquity because they rejected my ordinances and their soul abhorred my statutes. Yet in spite of this, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them. So wait a second. Even when you are messing up, he still has that line of communication open. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm not like Yah. Because some people do me dirty. You cannot speak to me no more. Let's keep it real. I know some of y'all, listen. Somebody out there has had this experience. I'm going to keep it a buck. Some people do certain things to me. I'm just not, don't even think we can ever talk again. But that means work needs to be done on me. And that's okay. So that's why it's a process to keep doing with Yah. So we keep going. I will not reject them, nor will I hate them as to destroy them, breaking my covenant with them. For I am Yah, their power. But I will remember for them the covenant with their ancestors, whom I brought out the land of Egypt in the sight of the nations, that I may be their power, and I their Yahweh. Or Yahuwah, or Yahweh, or Yahu. This is interesting. Jeremiah 4:3 says, for this is what Yah says to the men of Judah and Jerusalem. Break up your unplowed ground and do not sow among the thorns. Wait a second. Break it up and don't sow. Sometimes we want to be that light amongst people who are doing wicked stuff. But if you're not speaking to their heart and only speaking to their actions, then you can never get success. Let me say that again. Sometimes we want people to come into this truth. Right? Sometimes we bang on them till they get in the truth. But if you don't start with totally in the heart, then you cannot sow something in hard ground. Circumcise yourselves to Yah. Remove the what? Foreskin from off your heart, O men of Judah and people of Jerusalem. Otherwise, my wrath will break out like fire and burn with no one to extinguish it because of your evil deeds. Yah said he's doing this. He ain't saying Hashatan. Yah deals with his people. Let Hashatan deal with everybody else. Hashatan should not be dealing with you if you're walking right with Yah. Let me say that again. Let me say that again. Because now it's going to get so crazy because he can't do nothing with a hedge around you. That Yah says, damn, this person is doing their thing so much, I'm going to open up the gate. And I'm going to see when the wolf comes in, what happens. Because if I taught you how to fight, you shouldn't be running. Let me say it again. So hope y'all getting this. At midnight, you're going to wake up in the bed like, whoa, I got that. Let me say it again. The reason why he did not allow the children of Israel to go directly to the promised land, because he said they don't know how to fight.
Yes. All right.
Sometimes you are delayed from situations, from promises, from things that's supposed to be yours. Simply because if you get it, you don't know how to fight for it. So Yah is holding it back to train you how to fight. So when you get that thing, you can overcome it. Jeremiah 9:25, behold, the days are coming, declares Yah, when I will punish all who are circumcised, yet uncircumcised. Wait. All who are circumcised, yet uncircumcised. Wait. If I'm circumcised, that's the token of the covenant. How are you going to tell me I'm uncircumcised and I'm circumcised? What are you talking about? Because there's two other circumcisions. So you do the first one. You work on doing the second one, and then when you do the second one, then he steps in and do the third one. Oh man, this is heavy. This is deep. Somebody gonna get it. When I will punish all the who are circumcised, yet uncircumcised. Then he goes, Egypt, Judah. So the circumcised, uncircumcised, even though I'm circumcised, I'm considered one of the uncircumcised. Like Egypt, Judah, Edom, Ammon, Moab, and all the inhabitants of the desert who clipped the hair of their temples. All these nations are really uncircumcised. What? Wait, he just said Judah. Whoa, let's go back. I thought they were circumcised. He called them uncircumcised, like Egypt, Edom, Ammon, Moab. All these nations are really uncircumcised. And even the whole house of Israel is uncircumcised in their leb, their heart. I don't care if you're an Israelite. I don't care if you've been circumcised. I don't care if you claim to keep these statutes, laws, and commandments. If you can't tell me what the circumcision of the heart is, we got a problem. Ezekiel 18, verse 25. Behold, the days are coming. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Somebody get Ezekiel chapter 18 for me. And verse 30, I think it is. I put the wrong verse up here. We almost done. And verse 30, I believe. Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 30.
Have it there. It says, therefore I judge you, O house of Israel, everyone according to his ways, declares the Adon. Repent.
Wait, what?
Repent.
What?
Repent.
Whoa. Repent. Keep going.
And turn back from all your transgressions.
And do what?
And turn back from all your transgressions.
Keep going.
And let not wickedness be a stumbling block to you.
Whoa. Keep going.
Cast away from you.
Cast away from you what?
Cast away from you all the transgressions.
All. No, some of them.
All.
A few of them.
All.
Keep going.
All transgressions by which you have transgressed. And make for yourselves a new heart.
Wait, and make what?
For yourselves a new heart.
And make what?
Make for yourselves a new heart.
A new heart.
And a new spirit.
And a new spirit.
For why should you die?
Whoa. Remember, longevity of life. Why should you die? Why are you taking yourself out? Or why are you committing spiritual suicide? This is serious. Why should you die when I'm trying to give you longevity of life? Keep going.
O house of Israel, for I have no pleasure in the death.
I have no pleasure in what? In the death of
one who dies.
Keep going.
Declare to Adon. Yeah. So turn back.
So turn back. Keep going.
And take up a lamentation for the leaders of Israel.
Keep going. How many of us are doing this? Keep going.
And you shall say, what a lioness was your mother among the lions. She lay down among the lions and in the midst of the young lions and reared her cubs.
Keep going.
And she brought up one of her cubs, and he became a young lion, and he learned to tear the prey. He devoured men. The nations heard of him, and he caught their pit. He caught in their pit, and they brought him with chains to the land of Mizraim. When she saw, as she waited, that her expectancy was lost, she took another of her cubs and made him a young lion.
Whoa. Keep going. So they're not listening. Wait. Are y'all understanding what was going on in the analogy here? Okay, keep going.
And he went about among the lions and became a young lion. And he learned to tear the prey. He devoured men. And he knew their widows and laid waste in their cities.
Wow.
In the land, and all who filled it was stunned by the noise of his roaring. The nations came against him.
This is about Israel now. Keep going.
The nations came against him, the provinces on every side, and spread their net over him. He was caught in their pit. And they put him in a cage in chains and brought him to the sovereign Babel. They brought him in nets, so his roar was no longer heard on the mountains of Israel.
So what that analogy is teaching you is what was going on with Israel. They were raised up to keep the statutes, laws, and commandments, but they used that as a means of superiority over others to the point where their ego left them. And in the process, they wind up going and change, being a lion. King of the jungle, even though lions are not found in the jungle. But anyway, king of the jungle. You can find a lion in the jungle, let me know. King of the jungle, but yet now you in chains. Think about that. You got all this power, and now you can't do nothing with it. All because you can't do one simple thing. So what is the flint knife we need to utilize in order to cut the foreskin from our unclean hearts? What is that flint knife? Somebody tell me what it is. I said it earlier. Teshuvah. Teshuvah. What does that mean? To turn. Not turn, just slightly turn. Turn away. If you're not turned all the way, you're going to keep seeing. Some people only slightly turn, and they're not turning fully away, so the thing is in behind your back, and they can move forward. You must repent. The word there for repent is shuba. That's the root word. Teshuvah, they can repent and turn it into repentance. That is the flint knife. You must repent. And when you do it, you're cutting the sin, the foreskin, off of your hardened hearts and allowing yourself to be exposed to the intimate parts of Yah. This process can be hurtful, humiliating, and humbling at the time. But if we obey his command to do this, we will have a transformation of character that pleases him, and then he can give us the victory. And if we need his help, we can practice for what's to come. And remember, covenant, circumcision, conquest. In that order. Covenant, circumcision, and a conquest. But the Most High says, once you start off in that process of cutting your own heart, now I'm going to step in and do my part. Last scripture, Jeremiah 31:31. And so we sign off. We got probably got one more after we sign off. I'll read it. Behold, the days are coming, says Yah, when I will make a new covenant. Remember, covenant, circumcision, conquest. A new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their forefathers, because Abraham wasn't told to circumcise his heart. Let me say that again. Most I thought that maybe that would be enough for them. Let me say it again. Moses was not told to circumcise the foreskin of his heart. He didn't have a problem obeying. He did it. And then as a process, he kept the statutes, laws, and commandments. But in the process of that covenant situation with Abraham, now we have a different situation when they're in Mizraim, when the Most High is telling Moshe, wait, look, I see these people acting up. Remember, Devarim means words, or words repeated, or the covenant repeated. He said, listen, before you die, get this word out to them. Let them know, circumcise the foreskin in your heart. Let's see if they get that. And if they do that, then I'll come and do my circumcision. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to lead them. That's how Yah deals with you. You know, your child going across the street, you're going to let them go by themselves, or you're going to hold their hand like their life depends on it. To lead them out of the land, my covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, says Yah, but Mizraim, my covenant which they broke, but this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. And in Hebrew, it's the imperfect tense. I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yah. I will put my law in their what? Their mind. And then I will write it in their hearts. So you're going to take the statutes and commandments, you're going to put it in your mind, you're going to remember it. But remembering don't mean nothing if you ain't doing it. Then I'm going to write it in your heart. That's what he's saying. And then he says, and they shall be my people. No more shall every man teach his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know Yah. For they shall know me, for the least of them to the greatest of them, says Yah. For I will forgive their iniquity, and their sin I will no longer remember. Which means your physical circumcision is just the first step. That's elementary school. The second step is now you got to circumcise your heart through teshuvah. Turning. But what do you got to do before you turn? You first must be aware or acknowledge your error. Then you have to regret it. Once you regret it, then you confess it. Sometimes if you wrong somebody else, you do it towards them. If it's just to Yah, you can do it through meditation. You confess it. After you confess it, you forsake it. And after you've forsaken it, now you have to accept the consequences. Now let me say that again. Because people can do everything else. The last part is what we struggle on. You must accept the consequence. That means there's already an order of events going. You got to just go along with it. And you got to take a different mindset when the things happen to you, because it allows you to take ownership of something that you did. And Yah's not just judging you simply for you doing all the first parts, but are they going to accept my whooping? I know a lot of times, when I was young, I used to disobey my parents a lot. And, you know, my mom, I love my mom. My mom, she would make us right, like, what you did wrong. Like, what? Why are you making me right? I did not understand that. After she whooped my behind, she sat us down and said, okay, I'm going to let you know I don't hate you, but I need you to write and explain to me why I did this. That taught me a lot. That taught me a lot. That taught me now, yeah, my butt is hurting, but now I got to use my mind. This is what she did. She worked on me physically, then she worked on my heart, then she worked on my mind. Y'all missing that. All right. So I did something wrong. She got me. She whooped my behind. She sat me down and said, I love you. So now I got to think about this. This woman just beat the brakes off me. She's saying she loved me. And then she told me, you need to write down what you did wrong. And then she said to me, what I'm looking for is how you accept the consequences. Because now you're not going to get this. Now you're going to get that. But you know what she was trying to do? Bring me back in right relationship with her. So that going forward, once I obey, even in the midst of what I've lost, she can give me double. Somebody missed that. Sometimes the things you think are for you ain't for you. It's a test. And if you get whooped and you lose that, the most I want to say, let me see if they get mad over that. I promised them a house. Promised them a car. Promised them a new job. Promised them this opportunity. That they did something wrong. And then you lose that. You get mad at Yah. Yah, why this happened? You ain't inspect yourself. Because if you did, you know why. Maybe I didn't have enough patience. Maybe I didn't have enough discipline. Maybe I wasn't long-suffering. Maybe I wasn't thinking and meditating on the word of Yah. Yah, what did I do wrong? Make me aware. This is what the psalmist said. Make him aware of these things. So that way I can acknowledge it. And once I acknowledge it, then I can say, wow, you know what? This is bad. I can regret it. And then once I regret it, I confess it. You know what? Yeah, I did do that. Now I'm forsaking it. I'm turning away from it. And now I'm willing to accept the consequences. Now I may not be happy. I may not be happy with those consequences. But if I follow through and I accept the consequences by taking ownership of what I did wrong, then Yah has something even better than what you think you were supposed to get.
All right now.
People don't want to go through the process. They just want the prize.
All right.
but you realize that the prize is actually in the process. Somebody will get that. Somebody will get that. You're not seeing what you've gained, having your eyes somewhere else. In the process, you learn relationship with Yah. So what for the byproduct? The major product is his heart and his mind getting in tune with that. And unless you do this, unless he works on you, you're not going to get there. But before you can get the next thing, he first got to heal you. Some people don't go through the healing process correctly. And we're wondering why we can't get certain things. We can't accomplish certain things because you have not been healed from the past. You're trying to rush into something else. That's for somebody out there. The key word there is know Yah. You ain't got to tell somebody, you got to know Yah if he already working on it. How intimately do you know him today? Are you solely relying on your physical circumcision or your identity as an Israelite to justify your standing with Yah? Ain't nobody saying nothing. Will this give you access to his heart and his thoughts simply by just being circumcised and keeping the statutes, laws, and commandments? No. You must be cut 3 times. 3 times. So when somebody says circumcision, it's 3 times. That's deep. You got something to go teach somebody else now. But in closing, I will leave you with a quote from the man we referenced earlier, that after years of experience and being circumcised physically, there's nothing more desirable to Yah than teshuvah. Remember that little boy we talking about earlier? Remember we talking about that little boy earlier? Remember that little boy we talking about earlier? The story about the giant and the little boy and him being overlooked in a superiority complex? That superiority complex followed him all throughout his life until he messed up. Let me say it again. He did everything he could do as a king. He fought battles and won wars and did all types of stuff. And then he had a personal situation that delayed him. It didn't deny him. It just delayed him a little bit. But it delayed him to see how he would respond. So he committed adultery and murder. Conspiracy to murder is the same thing as killing somebody. He committed these things. And as a result, he lost something. Think about that. He lost his son. But he didn't lose his life, but he lost his son. And what did David do when he lost his son? What did he do? What any parent would do. What would you do if you lost your child? Mourn over them. Grieve. So he was doing that, right? While the child was sick, knowing what was to come. Right? And then when the child died, what did he do? He got up and kept it pushing. Man, looking at him like, oh, wait, your son just died. David said, peradventure, if it's Yah's will, he will change the situation. But even if he don't, I'm still going to be here. Some people ain't thinking like that. Because you put God in a conditional situation like, yo, he better do A, B, C for me. And if he don't do that, I'm out of here. Because you don't have the heart to persevere. You don't have the spirit to endure. You're not fully fortified. You think you're a man and a woman. If you think you're a real man and woman, then when the test comes, stand in the door and face it. Don't run from it. So what did David say? Behold, you desire truth and the inward parts. And in the hidden part, you will make me to know wisdom. The hidden part, the part that's underneath the sheath, that's what he wants. Oh, y'all missed that. Y'all missed that. The hidden part is the part that's underneath the sheath. It must be removed. And what it is, he says, purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me hear joy and gladness, that the bones you have broken may rejoice. How many people is happy when y'all is whooping your behind? Yo, y'all laughing, but that's real. He's beating your behind, and you saying, listen, do what you got to do. Purge. Sometimes you need a whooping to take you away from the thing you was doing. Because if you ain't get a whooping, you're going to keep doing it. And then you become grateful that you have been whooped because somebody's paying attention and they want the benefit of your welfare to exceed and prosper. Think about that. If your parents never disciplined you, did they really love you? And I'm not throwing shots at nobody's parents. I'm just saying you'll make less mistakes if they do whoop your behind. But then when you get an adult, you may not be happy when they whooping your behind when you're 12, 13. But I know today, I thank my mom for beating my behind. I would have been a statistic. I would have been a casualty. I would have preyed on somebody else and did something worse than what I'm standing here right now. But thank my mom for whooping my behind. And through the instruction of Yah, she did the best that she could. She followed as much as she could from the word. And Yah taught her how to whoop my behind in love. So now she prepped me for my relationship with the Most High. Y'all missing this. Y'all missing this. This is important. Hide your face from my sins. Blot out my iniquities. Deliver me from the guilt of bloodshed, Yah. The power of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing, because my tongue is uncircumcised. It is profane. It is unclean. I cannot say anything great of Yah. But once I go through the process of getting my butt whooped so that I become a better person, now I can sing praises. Wait, the praises ain't just singing it because things are going good. I'm singing it because you beat my behind like a father and you taught me a better way. Oh. People are missing this. He says, Yah, open my lips and my mouth shall show forth your praise, for you do not desire zabach, or I will give it to you. You do not delight in the burnt offering. The sacrifice of Yah is what? A broken spirit. A broken and contrite heart. Yah, this you will not despise. So I ask you today, are you truly circumcised? I can tell in your actions if you're repentant. I can tell in your actions if you're humble. The book of Proverbs says, when Yah works on your enemy, do not rejoice. Why? Why would you rejoice when you know that's the expected end? Why are you getting happy? If you knew Yah, you knew that was going to happen. He's testing your heart. Have you opened your heart and exposed it to get cut today? How many of y'all are doing that? Biblical meditation teaches you how to pour forth your heart before Yah. So when you cut it, meaning when you humble yourself so you can open up to Yah, now you are exposed. The vulnerable part of you is exposed. Now Yah can better get intimate with you after he washes the wound. Now we can get in right relationship. This is your command today. Circumcise yourself, not just physically men, but spiritually men and women. And when you do that, now Yah will commence the circumcision, and after you heal, whatever he's promised you, you will receive. And with that, hallelujah.